Today I'm going to show you how to make high hydration dough. We're going through to the dough making, how to handle that such a wet dough, to the baking and the final product. So we have 5 ingredients to make our high hydration dough. It's flour, possibly strong flour, so rich in protein content. Then water, salt, fresh yeast, and extra virgin oil. Hydration is the amount of water that go in your dough recipe. The more you will be able to incorporate water, the final product will result more fluffy and very light, and a beautiful crust at the end of the final product. Let's make the dough. Let's start by introducing all the flour in our mixer, followed by the fresh yeast. Once you crumble the fresh yeast in, you can start the mixer. Let the two to combine together for around 30 seconds to 1 minute. We're now ready to add the water. The first water will be added down to the breaker. So we carry on by pouring the water in until our dough will be hydrated. So once we get around 60-62% hydration and the dough has been kneaded by the mixer for 4 or 5, even 6 minutes, it depends on the available mixer that you have with you, it's time to add the salt. As you know, the salt will make the gluten structure much more rigid. In the same time, the gluten will be able to absorb much more water than it normally does. So I will start by adding a bit of water, and I'm going to introduce my salt. Just to make sure that the dough will not be really dry, because this will cause a friction between the spiral, the dough and the ball that will increase the dough temperature, which we need to avoid. We are now ready to add the rest of the water. It has to be made quite fast, so a second speed is required. I'm going to add the water gradually. Do never add all the water in one go, otherwise your dough will become soupy, which is another thing that we must avoid. Once the water has been incorporated, we are now ready to add the extra virgin oil. Once the oil has been incorporated, our dough is ready. You can pull it with your fingers, and if it fights back, that means that your dough is ready. We are talking about a very wet dough. The unique way to touch it or handle it without making sticks is literally by hydrate your hands with water or oil. You can see that I can touch my wet dough and it's not sticking at all to my hands. Now the dough is ready. Let it to rest for 5-10 minutes. We are now ready to fold and stretch. This is very vital for the following process of your dough, just because this folding and stretch will give some strength, will make the gluten structure nice and tough again. Start to do this, go in the center, lift it up and fold on top. Then turn your dough 90 degrees and do the same. So now our dough is ready to go to sleep into the fridge for 24 or 36 hours. The next day or after 36 hours, just take your dough out of the fridge 6 hours before you want to bake it. Cut the required size, shape it very gentle. Don't lose those gases that during the fermentation the yeast has created by converting sugars into gases. Doing this, you will have a very beautiful and bubbling dough. Make it ferment for another 4 to 6 hours before baking, and the final result will be amazing. Get a container, hold the container, get your dough, go in, hard tight with a lid or wrap it with cling film. Ready to go to the fridge. So guys, this is the dough which I made early. And this is another dough with the same recipe, but after 24 hours of fermentation at 4 Celsius degrees. You can see the dough has doubled in size. You can see use the oil is very helpful because we can slide it off really easily. Because I like a nice and puffy crust, the weight of my dough will be 280 grams for each dough ball. So I literally cut it. So the dough is quite sticky. So first of all, you must be fast, which means touch and go. As quick as possible, you try to fold the dough in the underneath, and with the other end, try to make the rest of the dough in tension. Your dough will become nice and tough, and you will be able to ball it up. After 6 hours at room temperature, it should look like this one. So I will be cooking and baking 2 of them, and then we can see what the difference will be from a regular dough, a low hydration, to high hydration. Right, let's start. 2 different dough, 60% and 75%. I will starting by making the pizza with the 60%. As you can see, it's very easy to handle the dough. First base is here. Then the second one is quite wet. So I cannot really handle the same way. Need to make sure it will be more drier, so I'll need to add a little bit more flour than normal. In this case I'm using semolina. And then I will be starting. Yep. If you wanna do the Napolitan slab, make sure you won't ruin the edge, because what we're gonna get as well, it's a beautiful and even crust. My 75% is ready. Start by tomato, circular motion, tomato nice to the edge. This pizza will be baked at around 380 degrees for about 2 minutes. This one will probably be cooked for 1.5 minutes. Okay, let's see. So you can see the low hydration, the crust is much smaller. If I touch the dough, it's still light but a bit dense. Actually the high hydration, can you hear that, how it crisps? The beautiful thing about this is literally the open texture into the dough. So light, it melts on your mouth. I know that high hydration is quite a bit difficult to handle, but the pizza definitely will be superior. So improve your skills, and it's not that difficult to get from that to that.